Hey everyone, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. Sorry for the delay in videos. If you want to know what's been going on, I'll have that information at the end of the video, but I know a lot of you don't care, but I do apologize, and there's going to be a lot of new things this summer and things that I've been working on, so the summer is always a little bit more gaps in between videos, but newer stuff. In the fall and winter, I have a video almost every day. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Bruce Fairfax. He went missing on Tasmanian Island, which is south of Australia, that little nub right there. I'll show you some more pictures of it. He was 66 years old at the time of his disappearance, and he went out with his dog Tessa and his wife Louise, and they were going to hike the Duckhole Lake Trail, which is in Strathblane, which is in southern Tasmania. And like I said, I'm going to have pictures throughout so you can kind of get an orientation. Unfortunately, he did have Parkinson's disease, and according to what his wife said, she said that this disease, one week he would be fine. This is Bruce, he would be okay, he could move about, and then the next week it would just kind of freeze up on him. And she said that this particular week that he went missing, he was having a bad week. Now, she said that it was just coordination issues. He was completely competent. He didn't have dementia or anything like that. And these are just various pictures of the area and the area next to the Duckhole Trail that they were on. This Duckhole Trail is only 2.1 kilometers all the way around it, and it is considered by the Park Service to be an easy trail. It's very guided. You just have to walk following the lake. But unfortunately, at some point during their hike that day, Louise stated that she went ahead to get pictures of this waterfall, and then Tessa, the dog, was the only one that came back. And it was at roughly 1 p.m. on that day was when she contacted authorities, because she started getting worried. Obviously, her husband is out there without his medication, and Bruce went missing on October 14th of 2017, and prior to those weeks, he had been hiking. They'd been doing other hikes, him and his wife, and he was known as an experienced hiker, but unfortunately, he did have this Parkinson's that did sort of come and go, and I kind of wish he would have had a fanny pack on, so he would have had at least his medication, so he would have remained mobile, because according to the reports, he didn't. So he would have been stuck in whatever area if his Parkinson's froze up on him, which his wife, Louise, had been reporting that whole week that it was giving him problems. So that's what their biggest fear was. Of course, they sent in ATVs, all-terrain vehicles, four-wheel drive vehicles, three-wheelers, but unfortunately, none of these had any luck either. It's just always very scary, especially for the people that you're with, because it's 1 minute you're there and the next minute you're not. And of course, Louise was completely panicking because she was thinking to herself, who knows what's going on? And she knew she couldn't just launch her own effort into the vegetation, because apparently that whole area, once you get off the trail, if you were to get off the trail or any of the trails that follow around the lake or to the waterfalls and just go into the jungle, it's very, very dense. It's very thick. Looking up, it's just like a giant canopy, which I'm going to have some more pictures on as we get into the investigation, and as well as, they would leave these notes for Bruce, and this is actually common in investigations or search and rescue, where they know kind of the general idea. They'll leave snacks, notes, bottles of water. This is the waterfall that Louise had gone up to take pictures of. And you can see on each side, it's very dense. And look at how high it is. I mean, even if you were going to try and climb out of the waterfall area, you'd have to have climbing gear or just be a very, very experienced boulderer or climber, whatever you want to say. Bruce had a lot of friends in the community. Like I said, he was a retired high school teacher in Tasmania, and a lot of those friends came out to help with the search. According to Louise, some drove 4 or 5 hours all the way across the island. One person actually ended up in the hospital, and she was just very touched. Now, this would be if you were standing on the trail looking up, trying to look up at the sky. As you can see, even if you saw a helicopter or heard a helicopter, I mean, how are you going to wave it down? It's not going to see you through that giant canopy. And this would be if you were, flying over and trying to see down. I mean, I guess if it was at nighttime and you had a fire going, they might be able to see that. And they were using heat-sensitive radar, forward-looking radar, what they had at the time, but unfortunately, they weren't able to drum up any clues. I know at one point they did find an apple core and a banana peel down by the lake. And due to where they found that, because of, as you can see, I'm going to have an arrow or an X, because it's so dense and rugged, they were all very worried, especially Luis, because she said that when he didn't have his meds and his Parkinson's acted up, he was just frozen in one position. He couldn't really move anywhere, which would be very scary. You can only imagine what Bruce was going through out there. He had no supplies, really. I think he might have had one bottle of water and those 2 pieces of fruit, but he was already out there overnight. And if he was stuck in one area, I just can't imagine the fear. And if you saw animals coming by or just anything, not being able to move. And Louise said that she did her own searches where she thought he might go, just based on their experiences together. But through this whole time, they searched for almost 10 days, and they still to this day have never found Bruce's remains. Unfortunately, after a certain amount of time, search and rescue efforts are exhausted, and there's always the volunteers that can come in afterwards, but it's not going to be as big unless they've got funding from big sources to fund, like a helicopter, drone teams, things like that. And the search was called off on October 23rd, 2017. According to the Parks Department of Tasmania, this Duckhole Lake is just a flooded sinkhole, which is roughly 106 kilometers southwest of the city of Hobart, or around 65 miles for us Americans, or people that go in miles. And as you can see around these areas, there's a bunch of what their national parks are like. They're all in the southern area, and people go there to go camping, fishing, all the kind of stuff that we would do here in America parks, or parks that I'm sure you have in your countries. They get a lot of draw. So it was thought that they would eventually find him, but now it's been years and years and years, and with all the traffic and all the volunteer searches that have gone in and after the main one left, they still have not found his remains. To me, this is one of the most curious aspects of this case, because not only was it an extended normal investigation, it went on for almost 10 days, which is much longer than the average search and rescue. But according to his wife, she said that he would have never voluntarily left the main trail area, especially knowing that he had this Parkinson's. He had to be careful. Like I said earlier, she reported that he had been struggling with this all week. I just find it odd that throughout the years of all the searches, and they had special divers come in and dive the Duckhole Lake looking for Bruce, and nothing. They never found anything. And once you take the lake out of the equation and all the surrounding areas, it's just a little odd. Again, if he did become mobile and just sort of wander off, who knows where he could be. And the official report was the investigators came over to the family's house, to Luis's and Luis Fairfax's home, and they told her that they believed that he died probably of either hypothermia or a heart attack. I'm not sure how they got to the conclusion of a heart attack. I don't know if there was more risk factor in his family. I did try and look, but I couldn't find anything. Again, they could have just thought that because it was a man with Parkinson's disease out in the wilderness, fighting for his life, trying to find his way out of the jungle. I think a lot of what people misunderstand about the jungle, for example, the warm season in Tasmania lasts around 3 months, and it's from December through March. It's kind of the opposite of what we have in America. So that's one thing you always want to be careful of if you're going to a new country, especially if it's halfway around the world. You want to look at their climates and what their seasons are, because they're most likely a lot different than what you're already living with, unless you're living right next door. The cool season in Tasmania lasts 3 months, and it's from the end of May through August 30th, which is the exact opposite for us here in the States. That's our warm spring and summer, the hottest months. A lot of these things I wouldn't know if I didn't research the particular country, but for Bruce's case, he was in that area towards the end of October, which is it's right in the sort of crunch of the cool season. So he was facing cooler nights in the low 40s. That can be really brutal if you've, been sweating all day and then have no blanket, no jacket. And unfortunately, he didn't have any gear with him. So I can't imagine what this poor man went through. And I just hope he's resting in peace somewhere. And I really pray and hope that he is able to be brought home to his family one day soon. I know a lot of you aren't interested in that kind of information, but a big part of what I'm trying to do with my channel is prevent incidences like this from happening again. Talking to various search and rescue all over the world, talking to people that have been through these incidents, what worked for them, how they got out, and going over it on this channel with you guys. So giving you guys advice. And I know a lot of people snap back and say, oh, I don't care about that kind of stuff. But who knows, maybe if Bruce had a fanny pack with some of his medication and an emergency blanket, you just never know. I mean, maybe he'd be alive today. It's a lot of the cases that I'm going to cover this summer with you guys. We're going to go over in detail about what happened, what maybe preventions that could have possibly been taken. And a lot of times there aren't one. Things you can prepare for. You can only prepare for so much, but there's a lot of people. There's this one guy that writes all the different thru hiker stories from the CDT, the Appalachian Trail, and the PCT. And there's a lot of people that have been thru hiking for years. They have all the gear and they'll just come into a storm or something happens where something will break. And there's a lot of things you just can't prepare for. You can prepare for as best you can, but there's always going to be those things that pop up. I'm just wishing all of you that have started your thru hikes or that are about to start a thru hike, or anybody that's going on a hike this coming spring or summer, wishing you good luck and all the best. And remember to just check the weather, prepare. And sorry about the delay in the videos. I was out training with my weighted vest and somebody ran a walk sign, came across on a right-hand turn, even though I usually wait, and hit me. I flew into the curb, then bounced over the guardrail and landed into the woods. I was in the hospital for 2 days. I've got road rash all over my left side of my face and my legs, and it's just been a nightmare. So I do apologize, but I want to thank everybody for watching, and my thoughts and prayers go out to Bruce and Louise, and just hoping that they can get some closure soon. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music, and I will see everybody in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end, and I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. And like I said, I'm going to have a lot of different videos. I'm going to be traveling across the United States this summer, or this coming spring, late spring, and probably a little bit later now just due to this idiot that hit me with his car, but hopefully I can recover from that fast and get on the road out west. And I'm going to hit a bunch of different national parks and different areas and different cases, and meet up with different search and rescue and do a bunch of different cases on the road. So hopefully you all join me along with me for that. And of course, as always, let me know if there's any case or anything that you want me to cover. And thank you always for all your support. See you next time. I just also wanted to say, I know a lot of us follow the I65 Kentucky, Illinois, late 1980s serial spree killings and all these crimes that went on, and they believed it to be one man. They finally identified him as Harry Edward Greenwell, and he was found somewhere in Iowa. They found his obituary, and he, I guess, died in 2013 of cancer. And ironically, his obituary said that he was a good guy, a nice guy, a fun guy, which is insane because these are just 3 of the lovely women that he took from our beautiful earth just in the matter of a couple of years during that spree. And before those crimes, he had done a ton of other things. He had escaped from prison, robbed a bunch of places. I mean, he was in and out of prison, just on and off. So who knows, maybe after these affairs, these things that he had done, like he just turned his life upside down and hid. But I just thought it was so ironic that his obituary said all that nice stuff about him when they didn't know his evil past. The FBI and local authorities had literally been after this man for over 30 years. And unfortunately, he never got to go to trial, but he did die of cancer in 2013 at the age of 68. I just hope and pray that all the families and people that he affected with all his evil stuff in the past, I just hope they're able to move on and just cherish the memories of their loved ones and always keep them in their hearts. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.